You've done something that I can't recall other presidents doing over the course of this year. Several times, publicly, you've questioned people, interviewed people. You put questions to a teenager on StoryCorps on NPR. You questioned a novelist. You interviewed a naturalist.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that?
You know, one of the best things about this job is that you can talk to anybody. It turns out you pick up the phone, if somebody's doing something interesting, something that inspires you, you can usually get them to take your phone call. And sometimes I do it to learn myself what is it that makes them tick, and what can they teach me about the world. Sometimes I just want to shine a light on somebody who I think is extraordinary. When I talk to that young teenager, that high school kid,
18-year-old African American.
Here's a guy who was on the streets and going down the wrong path, and most likely would have ended up in jail if you looked at the odds. And he was able, through faith and some timely intervention, to completely turn his life around, and was on his way to college. And at a time where popular culture often portrays young African American men coming from low-income neighborhoods as a danger, I wanted people to hear what an extraordinary kid this was, and how much he was like a lot of teenage boys who just may be growing up in more forgiving environments. The novelist Marilynne Robinson, she's become a friend of mine. I just love her books, and I think she says something about the essential decency and goodness of the American people. The folks she writes about are, from the Midwest and small towns, and are rooted in flags and apple pie and Americana, and yet they've got these really complicated lives. And what she says about our democracy and what's best in us, I thought was important for people to hear. So, part of what I hope people take from this year and the remainder of my presidency is that we've got big challenges. We've got divisions, we've got frustrations. There are real challenges and dangers like ISIL. There are big problems around how we make sure that the economy is working for everybody and for middle-class families. How do we educate our kids for the 21st century when the kinds of skills that are going to be demanded are going to be so much more sophisticated and different from what a previous generation needed. So, those are all real challenges, real issues. But I hope people remember that this country is just brimming with incredible possibility and opportunity, and that actually we're surprisingly strong considering what we went through in 2007, 2008 with the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression. You got an unemployment rate that has dropped down to 5%. You've got essentially 5 years of growth that's been uninterrupted. People have recovered the value of their homes and their 401ks. You've got fewer kids dropping out of high school than ever before, more kids going to college than ever before. We continue to produce incredible businesses that are transforming the planet. Internationally, just this year, we've been able to help shape trade rules that are good for American workers, American businesses in the entire Asia-Pacific region. We've been able to forge a climate pact that can preserve the planet for future generations, normalized Cuba, made sure that Iran doesn't have nuclear weapons without having to fire a shot, and are every day making incredible contributions to reduce poverty and violence and abuse against women and gays and lesbians around the world. There is just good stuff happening, and that doesn't make us complacent about all the challenges that remain. But it's a useful reminder as we wrap up this year. I remember standing outside or looking at people standing outside the White House the day that the ruling about same-sex marriage came down, and families and friends and partners, people who had once felt that their lives had to be cramped and undercover, and now they're hearing people say that, they're full American citizens like everybody else. That's a good thing. That's America, and I think it's important for us to make sure that we are fully mindful of the incredible blessings that we've received as we go into the holidays.